from the city of Arcadia. What makes this really interesting, the package they stole or tried to steal was actually a bait package used by the police department to catch people like this. The suspect was chased by police and then allegedly dumped the package at a Denny's parking lot. The chase then has gone through several different cities. Now it is on the freeway. That's where the CHP has taken it over, but exceptionally dangerous, Colleen, as you said, pushing speeds upwards of 130 miles per hour. So we have a Sky Map 7 on it. You're seeing where he's going, but also check that those green letters in the middle of your screen. They're tracking that car, showing him how fast he's going. So 95 miles per hour right now, but we're seeing him accelerate up to about 130 miles an hour. They're an aggressive move over to the right-hand side, apparently exiting off of this freeway, perhaps onto another freeway.
Yeah, it looks like it may have been the 710, but we'll find out from
southbound 710.
Yeah, you can see right there, David. Wow, we've been watching this pursuit, and we've been watching the CHP in, like I said, hot pursuit. I mean, this car has been traveling at very high speeds, very nerve-wracking. But again, this all started by authorities using a bait package, which we've been seeing it. We report almost every day about people stealing people's packages that are delivered onto their doorsteps. So an interesting way of trying to crack down. But once they figured out they were trying to be caught, they got rid of that package, and they are just trying to get away as quickly as possible. Again, at 123 miles per hour just a moment ago. And again, this is on the 710 South in Long Beach area. So if you are in this area, if you know anyone in this area, be careful. Watch out. Look at this driver taking extreme measures to try not to get caught. But did you just see him just quickly get onto that other freeway interchange?
He thinks he could evade police by switching freeways really quickly. He's driving exceptionally dangerous, now getting on the southbound 5. And there you see it, as we all know. Southbound 5 in this area is just a mess, and he's immediately running into traffic. Perhaps that's a good thing. I don't know. When you're going at 130 miles an hour on an open freeway, that's got to be exceptionally dangerous. But as you can see, he's still trying to be very aggressive all the way on the right-hand side. I think that's the shoulder of the freeway, Colleen.
I think you're absolutely right, David. And as we know, the 5 is a mess. And you can see some cars don't know what to do. They see authorities behind them. They don't know if they're going to have to move over to the side. But at least this car the driver is possibly going to take an exit here.
Nope, he's moving over.
Still staying right there on the shoulder. And look at it, it's just getting narrower right there. Oh, my gosh.
And moving over, weaving his way through traffic at, well, the good thing is he's going 30 miles an hour. It comes to a complete stop here. So that's preventing him from completely opening up. I'm still trying to get an indication of what kind of car that is. Whatever it is, it's got some really big acceleration. And we don't always see cars going at 130 miles per hour. I'm trying to get some indication, and a Ford Fusion is what I'm being told. A Ford, really?
Wow.
All right, well, that car's got some get up, and it really can accelerate, but he is really struggling in this traffic, trying to weave his way through it. And keep in mind, he's got the CHP behind him, but also overhead in a helicopter. There he is. Apparently, maybe he really will exit. He is exiting.
Maybe this is Atlantic Boulevard. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, you could see the tools that Sky Map 7 has. So you see that on the lower left-hand side, exit Atlantic Boulevard. So it's looping him around. He's going to be on surface streets right here, going to fly through this intersection, of course, not abiding by traffic laws at all. Then he loops over onto this road, Eastern Avenue, on Eastern Avenue right now, and nearing Everton Street, the intersection of, and then now he's going about 65 miles an hour on surface streets, 70 miles an hour on surface streets, and as you can see, not even abiding by traffic signals.
Just right through that traffic signal, David, and this is so scary to watch. When we see it at this time of night, we know a lot of people are outside and a lot of people are on the road. Right now, at least the vantage point is that it doesn't look like there's a ton of people. Maybe people are hearing the helicopters, and you can see all the police activity. But again, this is in Commerce, where this pursuit is now taking place, and he's going 50, well, he was just going 60 to 70 miles an hour. So trying to weave in and out of these cars to try to get away from authorities. But again, David, we see this time and time again. They think they're going to get away, and so far, I don't believe I've seen any of them get away.
We just had a frightening pursuit. I think it was yesterday. I lose track, where we saw one person driving over 100 miles an hour. I think he hit 104 miles per hour on surface streets, driving much like this guy is, flying through intersections. But luckily, that guy, finally police were able to reach him on a cell phone. They talked him into slowing down and then eventually stopping. So that ended without a tragedy. But when we see these cars accelerating like they are, flying through intersections at this high rate of speed, it's so dangerous because reaction time is so small.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's go to JT Alpa live on the phone right now to talk to us about this pursuit. JT, this one is going so fast.
Yeah, just like yesterday, we saw a really fast one with that pickup truck. It seems that these pursuits are really getting fast. In fact, we've had two pursuits going at one time today. Very, very difficult circumstances. This theft suspect stealing that baked package in that four-door sedan. At least it wasn't so far we haven't seen speeds like we did see yesterday at 100-plus miles an hour with a very large vehicle, that pickup truck. This one's a smaller vehicle going at slower speeds, but nonetheless extremely deadly and extremely dangerous. Arcadia PD in pursuit as it continues through the city of Bell Gardens now. It looks like we're in Bell Gardens on Eastern, continuing at speeds at around 55, 65 miles an hour.
Yeah,
JT, we did clock him, though, on the freeway at 130 miles per hour. He was really opening up that car, but, of course, he had some room to move, but then he got to the 5 freeway and got into some sticky traffic. He got off the freeway, and now we're seeing him drive really recklessly on these surface streets.
Yeah, those speeds are very high. At 130, that's probably a record for SkyMap 7 using our technology to track that speed. But so far, we've seen that speeds on this paper-plated sedan here a little bit slower. Thankfully, not getting those 100-mile-an-hour speeds that we did see. Trying to get more information from the pursuing agency about the details of the crime. But I am watching a little bit of a delayed feed here as I come through Bell Gardens. But it looks like he's going into a shopping center.
Yeah, he's weaving his way through a parking lot and still going pretty fast.
And there's a bicyclist
bike
right
rider
there. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so he's weaving his way through, trying to look for an exit, and it looks like he is exiting the parking lot on Eastern Avenue, and he's in Bell Gardens right now. So on Eastern Avenue, out of that parking lot, and now let's look what he's going to do. He's at Florence and Eastern. He's going to go through the light, fly through the light of Florence, and there he just barely misses somebody who was taking a right-hand turn. So a near miss there. Now it seems like he's meandering, JT. He's looking for some place to go. He looks a little bit indecisive.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing right now, Rob and Air 7 HD pulled out a little bit. I did not see any units directly behind him. Uncertain if they've maybe backed off a little bit, let the air unit go into a tracking mode to get him to slow down a little bit. But, yeah, you're right, David. He doesn't look like he knows where he wants to go, kind of indecisive, trying to what we call clean up, going into parking lots or streets to see if anybody's following them in. That's often what these guys do. Is they'll take little turnoffs like we saw in yesterday's pursuit into a parking area or that rest stop, or even through a car wash that we saw. But look at that kite squeeze he just went through there. Right. Really getting between those cars, trying to push his way through. Not a good idea. You can imagine those drivers going, what is going on? But just scary stuff here.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if you're right, that if those units have backed off of him. And by the way, that begs another question. The CHP was in pursuit of him on the freeway. Do they stay in pursuit of him now that he's on surface streets for a while?
Well, the primary agency will usually stay with the pursuit. It's uncertain if they handed that over to the California Highway Patrol. At one point, I did think that they were in pursuit, but they may have handed that back over to either the LA County Sheriffs as they're coming, or Bell Gardens PD, or maybe Arcadia is still on this as they continue on.
Right, and JT, we're learning that maybe some of the ground units actually lost this pursuit driver, and of course, obviously, the helicopters are staying with them. But apparently, maybe the ground pursuit started getting a little too dicey, and they weren't taking nearly the same chances as this driver is.
Or they just backed off, as JT said. When you're going, he reached speeds of 130 miles an hour, and then once he's on surface streets, it's so dangerous with his acceleration. Maybe they're trying to calm this guy down a little bit.
And you got to remember the nature of the crime, guys. There is a supervisor that's watching this pursuit and monitoring this pursuit, and the want right now, as far as we're told, is just theft.
Yes.
We don't even know if it's grand theft, but they did put that bait package out So it's a theft suspect. I don't know if they can necessarily call it a burglary suspect unless they cross into the threshold of the home here as he goes into another shopping center. But getting a little bit of bad feedback here, and I apologize for that. But that's the nature of the crime. So backing off the suspect for it's a crime against property. But now
he's getting into a parking garage, so we're losing track of him, JT. He went into a parking garage. He is at Southgate.
At El Paseo, there.
El Paseo. He's in that parking garage. So this guy's going to obviously try to get in there, maybe park and jump out.
Yeah, so this is a tactic we've seen before that some suspects take. We're going to try to get that roll fixed for you. In the El Paseo parking structure, we'll try to get a better location here. Now, what's going to happen is the area unit overhead is going to set up a containment on that parking structure, try to cover every exit, every entrance. We're going to stay a little bit wide and try to watch any car that may go out of here. We've seen suspects try to call other people to meet them in a parking structure, maybe jump into another car. So any car exiting this parking structure is going to be carefully watched by the area unit overhead.
All right, we're seeing some units pull up right now.
Yeah, units are going to set up. They're going to contain that parking structure, lock it down to make sure no vehicles drive out. Each one of those black and whites is being deployed by that area unit overhead to take a corner. They'll try to get as many units in place. More than likely, what you're seeing there on that side near the movie theater where they can't really see really well, they'll get that contained first, and then we'll get the side they drove in completely contained as soon as they get some more units here, and then they should have them locked down in there.
All right, in case you're just tuning in, this is a really interesting pursuit that we have been witnessing. Apparently it started in Arcadia, and from the information that we are getting, police put out a bait package. That's what they call it. You know, we've been having this rash of what we call porch pirates, where people are basically stealing your mail, your packages that are sitting on your front porch. They put out a bait package. This guy apparently grabbed the bait package thinking he was stealing something valuable. Police were on him immediately, and then the chase was on. He apparently dumped the package at a Denny's parking lot, but then he refused to give up and just took off in that, I guess it's a Ford Fusion, that's what I was told, and speeds him up to 130 miles per hour on the freeway.
Yes, yeah, it was on the 60, on the 710, and then on the 5, and now here in Southgate.
Yeah. And what's interesting, guys, is there may be some information that the suspect may have came out of.
We are getting some information from Air 7, JT, that he parked in the parking garage, and Air 7 thinks that they saw him run into the movie theater, that Edwards Cinema right there that you are looking at, and you'll notice there's a police unit right there. So I guess police are on it as well, and hopefully they know this information. But Air 7 says that he saw the suspect run into that theater.
Well, that's good information from Air 7 HD. Well, we'll try to get that as soon as we can. Maybe we'll review that tape. Try to get that played back, see if we can get a clothing description on that suspect that ran from that parking structure. And if he went into that theater, maybe he didn't go without a ticket. So you see at least one unit there trying to get more Bell Gardens PD units in place. So we're going to clear Sky Map 7 here because we're not needing that anymore. Go to a clean picture and try to figure out if they can find the suspect and maybe some information from the ticket takers on the front of that theater.
You know, I misspoke. It wasn't Air 7 that saw him. Air 7 was communicating out there, and we think the police might have saw him run into there. So you could see a couple of folks, a couple of officers talking right there, and I'm sure there are more units on the way. I can't see, I guess that might be Arcadia PD, but I'm not sure.
That was Bell Gardens, David. I saw his rooftop had a BG on the top, and it looks like that the security guard maybe observed that suspect run in, giving that officer a better description. He's putting that description of the suspect over the radio for the units responding. The idea now is to get this theater locked down and get a containment or a perimeter overhead.
No kidding. And no word on this person, if the person's armed or not. We certainly don't have that information, but what a huge venue to have to search for a suspect unless they're the ticket taker
as long as they have the exits covered, and then they could just wait this out and do this according to their own terms.
In situations like this, you can be assured that there are also many cameras both in the courtyard and inside the interior of the theater. That what officers will do as soon as they have this contained, they'll get a better description of that suspect so they can see what he was wearing. More than likely, if he gets in there, he's probably going to try to change or shed some clothing. We see that quite a bit. So they'll get him ID'd, and they'll have him come out of that theater.
Yeah, I think is that a canine unit right down below there, JT. So you never know if they're going to have to call in their canine as well to try to get them out of this area. But we are learning that this description that we're getting is a male Hispanic wearing a dark blue shirt with a shaved head. So that would be the suspect they're trying to find. And we didn't see inside the car if there was only one suspect. We know that one of the suspects has that description, but no word if there was actually multiple suspects in that vehicle.
There's a canine unit, Bell Gardens canine unit. The dog is out of the car right now.
The next step for the officers as well will be to get a team together to go into that parking structure, locate that vehicle, try to clear that vehicle, and be assured there's no additional suspects in that vehicle. But it looks like Bell Gardens has a lot of units around this theater, especially on the back side. They'll get some units on the front side, and the air unit was overhead the whole time, saw the suspect go into the theater, probably covering all of those rear exits to make sure he didn't. We saw one officer just go into that rear door from Air 7. We think that was an officer, or the door opened and then someone saw the officers and went back in. Very good possibility there, but we'll have this locked down. It's going to take some time, and unfortunately probably interrupt a lot of people's movies. Yeah. They're quite possibly going to shut the movies down and try to clear these theaters if he made it past the ticket taker.
JT, tactically, we see that canine unit right there. They basically are watching all those exits. All those doors you see across that wall there, those are all exits to the various theaters. So do they use that dog in case this guy runs out of a door and starts running? Can they use that canine to track him down quickly?
Well, it really depends on the criteria of the crime, David. Every agency's got their own policy on when and how they can use the canine. Usually in situations where it's a crime against crime, I should say, involving property and not against a person, that criteria may not be met to use the force of the escalation of force that would include using a canine dog. It's very possible that if the officers have more information about the nature of the suspect, the nature of the crime, if he's armed, or there's other possibilities going on, they may deploy the dog. It just depends on the situation. But right now, I think the idea is using that canine as a deterrent. If that suspect comes out and he sees that dog out there, he's going to be less likely to run or maybe give up a little sooner.